Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake, 2017, Redefinition. Ooh. So you've seen this, if you've been following this process, you've seen this from time to time. It's a very interesting one. Very, very fascinating. Because, you don't go from being a 90-pound weakling to being the king on the beach overnight. Doesn't happen overnight. That'd be just biologically not healthy. So I'll be releasing with this a video I did last night, perhaps. It was very fascinating. It was talking about the neurologic changes that are occurring, and I'm going to post it because I started out with doing a channel about neurologic changes, and it was really good. It was really early. It scared me. Oh, I was so scared. Woo! I did great. It's hard to hear, but that's okay. That's okay. I hang with it. And then last night I did more on the neurologic changes going on as related to the changes going on, on the planet. I think it's very helpful. But today I'm letting you know of this new thing because I have had a bit of a shift. One of those overnight thingy-doos. In that, I had a kind of a very interesting day yesterday. It was a day off, and I got what I needed to get accomplished, and it was kind of emotional and a little bit trying and very victorious and glorious and pleasant and long. and it was emotional. And there was a theme that kept playing out that really needed to stop. And I had asked in the morning time for a sign, give me a clue, give me a sign from the great beyond of my next step or whatever. And then here I am, in the afternoon having this really hard time and really going through it emotionally over something that it just would be really great if I could get done with. And not have the loop play. So because it's a full-on body thing when I start feeling those feelings and thinking those thoughts, and it's just ugh. So I'm there and I'm having this experience and I'm crying, and then there's a part of me for about the last year or so, maybe longer, when I'm crying, when I'm being emotional, there's this part of me that's right there saying, you realize there's really nothing to cry about, right? That everything's okay. This is, it's okay. Everything's okay. And I kind of look over and go, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's about then that I am open to the admonition to look up. And that's been happening with frequency now. And it really does shift my perspective. And I did that, and I snapped out of it. It's like, it really, that it doesn't even make sense. What's really going on here? That doesn't make sense, that I'm emoting over this. And then, by the way home, I was thinking thoughts, that as someone who is aware of galactic stuff and the bigger plan and other planets and the ascension process and light and all that stuff, is it really necessary to litigate and relitigate these human dramas? I and we think not. And then today getting this permission slip from Sandra Walter, which I'll post. It really just, it's very nice to hear another who's going through this, and I kind of curse my my maverick style of, it's not so much self-doubt as just research. But there's something about listening to Sandra, and I just relax. And reading Dolores Cannon too, because I realize I'm one of so many, and I have a job to do, and I understand my job better, and that's one of the reasons I'm coming, and I can explain things. I'm not interested in being in the confessional anymore, in that I'm really not interested in approaching this in a way that makes me feel as if I'm dirty and or weird in any way. And so that's the part that, even though, it's been one of those things that had been a rule in Deeply Awake, that anything is up for grabs, I can talk about anything, it really got into the mix. And I am forever exercising it. It's done. I want to explain 555, so it's okay. I want to explain. With this is part of the reason that I want to show you this, because this is what you could expect. Part of the reason that I know what my mission now, I understand better, or at least my signature or whatever, is that, many of us understand that this is really a much different kind of ascension than has been done before. It's an innovation, it's an evolution, but it was a necessity, as the lore goes. But it's really quite astounding how well it's working. And that's the nice part. But it wasn't a sure thing there for a while. And it's a very lovely plan, but it's important to have someone who is reporting on what it's like. Don't you think? Wouldn't that be a nice public service? And I think it was last night I saw them on recording thanking me. And it's like, well, you're welcome. So I'm driving home thinking on galactic thoughts. It's like, yeah, well, but then the flip of, yes, I am definitely aware of energetics, and I mean so much. Oh, it's become such a lyrical thing. I'm really very even for the whatever. There's an emotional blip. It was purposeful, and it was the answer to the prayer. It didn't come in the form of a text or whatever, a dozen roses or something. It came in being able to really let myself off the hook and really move on and really see things clearly. And I am really, really very pleased about that, because it's a very deep and compassionate and beautiful and accurate understanding of something that just confounded me. I'm sure you have koans like this, things that just you can't figure out, and it keeps coming at you. And it's the kind of thing where you could take a geographic cure even, and that shit's with you. Day and night, day and night, day and night. It's like that. And to be able to move beyond that, I think that really is a bit of a jump. And that's what we're looking at, is, and the video explains it, the 12 chakra system is part of it's the electrical grid, so to speak, of the 12-layered DNA system, if that's what you want to call that, which is an expression of these 24 spinning balls of energy that are activated in someone's Merkaba who is of a certain amperage and Akashic bent. And so this is only one expression, but many of us are experiencing something very similar to this. of just kind of coming into our own. And so I'm aware of what I am able to do and what I've always done. And I wanted to mention, what a perfect way to close this particular first 2017 Deeply Awake chat. And it's about that smell thing. I've always wanted to emit a smell. That's one of the superpowers I'd like to have, because I think it's soothing and it's sweet and generous, and I want it. So, and I told this story one other time. So my sister is, she's not a reader, but she thought, this one time she thought, it'd be kind of fun to listen to one of these channeling things and see what the deal is. So she's going to bed and she puts on the recording, and the room immediately smells really pungent. And she said it wasn't a bad smell, but it was really strong. And it was so jarring and so pungent that she got up and turned it off. And it went away. And then she thought, that was weird. So she turned it on again. Laid down. Boom. There it was again. She turned it off. I think that's really cool. I have been to 2 events where I have listened to a channeled entity. One was the woman who channeled Mary and wrote Mary's message to the world. She came to a little teeny tiny bookstore in Arvada, and she's this cute, plump little I don't know, like housewife looking person. So sweet. And then she turns, and boom, it smells like roses. I mean, really strong. And then when I went to see Lazarus, Jacques was in the seat, and we were all just in a huge ballroom, and all just kind of hanging out. This was in the early 80s. And then he does his huff and puff, and and boom, it was like jasmine. And we commented, or gardenia. And we all, it was a big room. We commented. It was very strong. And those kind of scents are purposeful, so they don't last. They're blasts. And I'd like to just be more like one of those renews it things. That'd be fun. But I thought that was a fun story of it really, Sandra Walter's permission slip of, it's not, what's going on in the third is really not of our concern. That it's them having what they need to do what they need to do. Oh, do that voodoo that you do so well. We have other things to do. And for me, that has been ministering to the sick and figuring myself out. But if I don't think I've got a problem, there's not a lot to figure out. It's a matter of then applying it and having fun. So that's the monadic New Year, which of course Sandra also referred to in her own language. So it's so much super fun when you see all of us whales go, oh, hello, it's hello. Because we're all doing pretty much our own thing, but when you hear us as a chorus, wowzers, we are different facets of a movement of consciousness, and it's our job to anchor the ancient energies and to explain them. And part of my job to expose what that looks like as that's taking place, and then to help. It sounds reasonable. It sounds very reasonable. I think it's sort of an explanation of my human design chart. I was railing against the heavens last night last afternoon, about my horoscope. It is so full of juxtapositions and paradox. It pisses me off sometimes. I don't know what to do about it. So I told him that was really the prayer So I told him, help me figure that the fuck out. And they explained it a little bit. That was very helpful. But, and it helped me to just be at peace. And I have a friend who's very, she helps me. She helps me because she really just can do nothing but accept herself. And it really helps me with any qualifiers that remain. But now I look at them and realize that's the DNA stuff. That's just being born in 61 instead of 91. That's me just being a little lame yet. Because I my consciousness was positioned in a different, energy. But this really is the time for the brain to rewire, for things to be like wiped clean. For 1 year, and to express then in a brand new way that has nothing to do with I want to manifest la. It's not about that no mo. And I'm happy to explain that. So when I come to you, it's not going to be, I may talk about, being in a puddle in my car. Yeah. Haven't you been? I mean, I've seen the things on Facebook of the memes of me at the beginning of 16 and me at the end of 16. I've seen those, so I know that a lot of people got their heart busted and their mind fucked. I'm aware, and their heart broken, and all kinds of stuff. I get it, and it's a bitter pill sometimes. Golly. And most people don't. Well, they just and they keep on doing their shit, and I don't care anymore. So that's what it's all about. Boom. And I think that really. To know that it's really okay to just dismiss it. And the thing is that for me, it's really easy for somebody who's actually making a living being a crystal grid keeper. It's quite another for an RN who does not have a choice as to who she works with. So, a lot of us have to live in the real world. And that's not saying anything bad against Sandra, obviously. The purer the life, the purer the message, for goodness sake. But that's part of my role is, figuring out, and that's why they picked a fool. They groomed a fool, as they said. So, I like that so much. So that's what's going on with Deeply Awake at this point with the chats or the talks, short ones about energies things. And at this point, it's really, they kept talking yesterday about the problem has been living really, really heart-based. Then there's been an issue with context and identity. They kept going on and on and on about those two yesterday. That was a very strong message. That at this time, this is about context and identity, and how we live our daily lives, how we express in our worlds. This has to do also with our context and our identity, and this is the time that it is being retooled, and we are retooling it. And that's scary work that some don't choose to do, and others, like yours truly, and what Sandra calls the high vibe tribe. That's why we came in. That's the whole point. And mine is to just be aware of it, having been a psych nurse and all that stuff, and then I could report what it's like to kind of break it and move forward. So I've always been like, okay, well, when's it going to start? And I'm realizing it started. Not only there's just a different feel to things, and it's truly just as real as I want it to be. And so it really is. It's really okay it's really, really, really okay to just say no more. To just, no, we're going to create from a different palette. And that is what's happening in my professional life even. Such a shift. I mean, it's really freaking miraculous. It's not appropriate to discuss, but let me assure you that what has occurred in my professional life is nothing short of a miracle. It's Blessing City. And I have never been, obviously, I have not been able to say that. It has really been quite hostile. My son got removed from a very hostile education system, and we talked to the new educator, and it's breathtaking. It's exactly what his education needed to be all along. And this man is so deep and so smart and so nimble of mind. Oh, God, it was like poetry. And it goes on and on and on like that. So, if I'm the reporter of all of it, well then, okay. And so, yeah, I have a little crying jag. And then I'm being reminded, and I'm reminding myself of my context and my identity. It's got very, very little to do with these human constructs that have always gotten me down because I seem to fail at them so miserably. That's way past time getting off that cross. And it just doesn't matter. It's not why I'm here. And, it's just not an issue. It's just not anything I have to worry about. Everything is just awesome from here forward in really every aspect. Because there's no reason for it not to be. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't upsets. It doesn't mean there aren't hard things. It doesn't mean I don't cry in my car. It doesn't mean that I don't have to hustle. And it doesn't mean I don't have invitations to be afraid and anxious and self-deprecating. These are all invitations. I don't have to accept them. And I speak as someone who, you can say, oh, well, she used to have depression. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're paying attention, I think the clinical depression is actually kind of a normal reaction at first. But then you got to figure out, well, wait a minute. And then it becomes, oh, come on, this isn't even, I don't even recognize this. This isn't mine. And that's sort of what's been going on. And coming from that place makes so much more possible, because there is no argument, there is no justification, there is none of that, because it's just okay. So at this point, to sum it up, through this activation process that I've recorded, I came to see in a much bigger way, galactically, what's going on and how it relates to this planet. And then on this planet, being able to, we had so much fun, Melissa and I, talking about atomic theory and then the fifth and sixth law of physics, which really was very much a part of this activation process, as was the change in chakra systems and many other things that were highly esoteric. And, in the end, it comes down to, well, are you a good person or not? Well, wow, that's a little bit subjective, isn't it? Who's making that decision? And then there comes that polemic. And your identity and your context clarifies. Does that make sense? I think so. There is they were talking about ascension psychology, and they were talking about under that there would have to be a study of the psychology of change. And I have to agree, because psychology really does not, our current model doesn't really suggest that there is the ability to change. And, it doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't matter, because all of those books are going to be rewritten. They're describing old patterns. And that's the problem, that's where education will change. Because it has to. And it's really not an issue of will it happen, who's going to keep it from happening. Everything is rigged. I got to tell you, I was really of that camp that everything is a rich man's trick. I really, really, truly was. I'm going to close with this, because it's kind of a big deal. It satisfied something very deep in me. It made it clearer how interrelated and dark the political landscape has been the last 60 or so years. However, I woke up, and I told Melissa about this. I woke up recently with only one thought, and it is this. It is good news, I think. I realized, oh my Lord, those industrialists they're finished. They're kind of shaking in their shoes. Yeah, there's a spasm, this orgiastic spasm of hatred and greed and just all out wholesale, wow. I mean, it's like just jaw-dropping, the mischief and the misconduct and the misbehavior and the irresponsibility and the disregard. Oh my God. And isn't it interesting how some can't see that? Wow. And then there's some who can. A lot who can. And what I think is fascinating about this, well, the whole thing is fascinating to me. But this dream, I didn't have any visuals. All I was totally aware of is that they hadn't anticipated this. And his misconduct, he's really going to take the wheels off. I mean, he's really out of control. And they pick somebody who's not quite as reignable as the other one. And it really was to have gone the other way. And this was truly, this was their death blow. And it was great, because it's going to expose everything. It's going to make us face it, and it's going to bring them down, or have them share it again, whatever. But this house of cards, of this fever dream, that's what hearing all of this, it's not time to worry about this anymore. It's not time to be pulled into the misconduct is just hilarious. It is so beyond the pale. It's shocking and therefore a bit hilarious. But really, wow. Talk about using primary colors. And we're all a part of it. That's the thing. We're all a part of it. And here's, Sandra saying, hey, no, high vibe tribe, that's got nothing to do with us no more. And it's like a relief of, really, in the end, it really will extinguish itself. It's just really hard to watch. So, just by doing what we're doing, we're helping. Because it's really the less attendance, the better. The more love, the better. And that we've covered that. There's a time to stand and deliver, and just say no more. No more. This airy, fairy, fuzzy compassion when there's something that is just misguided, walking around, clomping around, pretending that they have more power than you, and trying to scare you. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm real scared. Yeah, it's just not working anymore. It's really amazing. And that, I think, is part of she said, you're not part of the dimensions. It's a different reality. So it's just, and I think that's the jumping. I think that you cannot go from 7 chakra base system or 8 chakra base system to a 12 base chakra system, which is an expression of those 24 spinning balls of energy, which are the 24, not 23, pair of chromosomes. The 24th being multidimensional and invisible for now. And, that's a different reality. And then you can see the mechanics of it, you can see the arc of it. I mean, let's not forget the fractals that are ending in this year and last. The economic, the conflict, and the climate. And when fractals end, there's chaos, and then more complicated and complex and beautiful patterns emerge. And that's what's going on. So, and I have the anomaly to prove it. I have the creativity to prove it. I have and I live in relative isolation, and then I hear someone like Sandra go, oh my God, oh yeah, she's reminding me that we're all connected and there's so many of us. Oh my God, there's so many of us now. La 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 la. So that's what I needed. And so that's part of the pods coming together and just breaking the isolation, which has been part of what they explained for me was it was a requirement to make sure the message was really pure. And so, yeah, I've had a few influences, but this is all pretty much me and what I'm aware of from my teachers. So that's very nice, isn't it? So, all right, I thought I was going to end with the smell story, and then I went la 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 3 2 2 2. So that's the new Deeply Awake. No apologies, and more of a purpose. And so I like that very much, and I'm really proud of the channeling that I'm putting up for your viewing enjoyment soon, as a companion piece. So those are the changes afoot and what you can expect and not expect this year. Right? Thanks.